Look, every brand wants a higher hit rate, high intent. There's creative diversity that everyone's trying a bunch of everything and yet lots of the time struggling to have a higher hit rate / consistently find winning ads that can scale the account. And so recently, over the last couple of months, we hit one of these kind of slow points in our own ad account. And so I put together this thing called ad account mapping, which has literally become the secret to more winning ads for us. It's a super simple process, and I'll understand why it works and actually give you a live example in this video, walking you through what it is and how it works, right? And the main thing here that you need to understand, and to why I put this whole thing together, is first is winning ads equals high intent. And now you've heard that and you know that, but like, what does that even mean? And it's why 90% of e-com brands can't consistently keep a high hit rate. Okay. And it's not the type of high intent that you're thinking when writing ads. It's wrong direction from the start. The issue is most brands, most people start with high intent when starting to script their ads, right? But this is wrong. And this starts before making your ads. The high intent needs to start with the direction of your ad account as a whole, right? Having it mapped out, which I could call it ad account mapping, to really understand where the opportunities are, right? Because you don't just test to test. And you know that you're testing to find new formats or new angles. But how do you know which angles to start with, or what formats to start with, or what avatars to start with? This is what solves that for you. It gains you clarity with high intent from the start before even going into writing your ads and what ads to write. It gives you clarity on what direction you need to go for your ad account as a whole. And that increases your hit rate because now you understand exactly from point A what you need to start at and point B what ads you need to make. And then obviously you can go ahead and execute those ads with high intent past that. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through what this actually means and what's going to give you a clear example. And like I was saying, over this rough patch over the last couple of months of like a lower hit rate for us, this changed it, right? We were able to increase the ad account and we were down to about 2.5 million a month. And now we're back up to 3 and onwards, right? Across actually 2 different product lines and 2 different brands. That's why this works. It's just powerful. It gives you so much clarity. And more importantly, if you're running creative teams, it gives your team clarity. So first, you need to understand what you need to scale. Like this, it all stems from here, right? So first and foremost, you need to understand if you can get to 2 to 4 avatars, these are all winning, right? If you can get to 2 to 4 winning avatars in your ad account, underneath each avatar have 2 to 4 winning angles, and within each angle have 3 to 6 plus winning formats, you will scale. You will be at massive, massive scale. Okay. Obviously it depends on your product category, how many of these you need and how far they get you, etc. But the point is, if you look at brands like Pet Lab Co., I always reference Pet Lab Co. because it's the clearest example. They have 3 to 4. That's it. Really main working avatars. Within that, they have the 2 to 3 working angles that you can clearly see in the ad account with 3 or 4 formats. And they do multiple 9 figures a year and exited for like, whatever it was, like 600 million, 700 million, or 300 million. Anyways, they exited for a ton of money on top of that. So you don't need anything crazy. You don't need 8 winning avatars. You don't need 20 winning angles. You need 2 to 4 winning avatars, 2 to 4 angles within each avatar, and 3 to 6 formats. If you can get to that point, you will be at scale. Okay. And when we get into the direction, because the next point is the direction of testing matters, right? Testing either angles first or the avatars or finding a second avatar before finding 6 formats and which way to go about it matters. Okay, which I'm going to get into because it's way easier to find some of these than it is the other. And so the direction of the testing matters and will get you to that point a lot faster. And once again, if you can get to that point, what's this known as? Everyone calls this creative diversity, right? And that is what it is, right? If you have multiple avatars with different messaging, different angles to approach that avatar, and multiple different formats for looks and feels, because different people may like AI slop, or they might relate to UGC, or they might relate to a VSL, or whatever they prefer to consume. Each avatar is different. That gives you more diversity, more POC audiences, you scale, right? You probably know that part. But to get to that point, you need intent and direction, which you can only do if you have a high level overview. The issue is everyone's so into their ad account and making ads, which I know it's an important thing and you should be, but they're like tunnel vision on it. The issue is when you don't take the time to step out and look at your ad account from a whole, it's tough to set the direction accurately. And if you set that first, then you can go tunnel vision because you know exactly what you need to focus on. Okay. So that brings me to ad account mapping. And this is essentially to spot, once again, the opportunity in your ad account and give you an exact playbook, step by step, no matter what ad account you have, of what you need to be focusing on and testing, what ads you need to be making right now to scale right now, today, increase your hit rate. Okay. So the first, I'm going to walk you through the process in a second. Live on Google Sheet. It's an ugly sheet, but it does the job. Is you want to do a manual breakdown of the top ads. I go over the last 3 years any ad that has spent over 100,000, because that's the criteria. If it hadn't spent over 100,000, was it really a big winner, right? And in your ad account, that might be 50,000, might be 10,000, it might be 500,000. The point is, you do a manual breakdown of the top ads over 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. I usually do 3 years. That way you get a good sample size of these top ads with whatever that threshold is for your ad account. Then you want to identify the avatar angles, formats of proven ads at scale. Spot the issues when you go through this, because you'll find a lot. Then consolidate the trends into the final ad account mapping, and you'll clearly see the opportunities and direction to test, which then gives you the high intent testing, right? My point is, when people just go in high intent making ads, that is high intent, but you're missing the direction. And if the direction is off, doesn't matter how high intent you are on making your ads and how good those ads are. If it's not what the ad account needs, like, what are you doing? It's just not going to work anyway. So the high intent starts with the direction, then the high intent in the testing and ads itself. Okay. So to get into it, the sheet looks like this. Now, this is an example I put together for like a gut health brand. And as you see, it's ugly, but this is exactly how it works. I'm going to walk you through it all. So first, and this is exactly what I did, by the way, step by step, manually. So the first is the manual ad breakdown. I did the last 3 years top ads. And once again, I did anything above 100,000 spend. This might be different for your ad account. Now, obviously, these numbers, purchases is all random for a gut health brand. But the point is, you link the ad name where you could go see the ad, and then you go watch the ad in full and you do the manual breakdown. Not with AI. AI can help, but I really encourage you to do this manually. Reason being, what you will find, and it's a lot of time with your strategists or agencies, or if you're making your ads yourself, you'll realize that, hey, the stage of awareness we actually planned out, and the avatar and the angle we planned out for this ad at a high level, when you actually go back and watch the full ad, it may not actually be accurate. And so if you have clear naming conventions, which I hope you do, you may be able to say, hey, look, well, I don't need to do this. I could just look at the planning we had for the ad, and that is what it is. I highly recommend you do it manually, because one, you will 100% spot trends in all of these ads that have completely crushed for your ad account. And two, you'll realize a lot of mistakes that were made in terms of the stage of awareness not actually being correct. Or the avatar is kind of in between these ones, and like, let's say you had it planned out as gut health, but it was actually someone who knows probiotics and is looking for the best one, such as had experience with other ones, right? Like, you will be able to identify this way better than AI. And two, it just develops your skill set and gives you a crazy good understanding of your ad account from a high level. And that direction and those learnings are just unmatched, and it will help improve your hit rate, I promise. So you can use AI for this breakdown, but I highly recommend manual. I went through, I think on mine specifically, I went through like 35 ads manually, start to finish, and broke it down, right? And if you haven't done that in a while, I recommend you should do that. Anyway, so I put ad name, I watch in full, I put down spent and purchases, I go through and identify what the stage of awareness is. Now, once again, most people get this wrong. I'm gonna, once again, kind of define this for you. You guys probably know the stages of awareness, but how do you classify what stage of awareness an ad is in that you're watching? It's where you meet the viewer. That's the most important part, because that determines the rest of the script structure anyways. But point is, it's where you are meeting the viewer. What current state are they in? What current stage of awareness are they in? Where does the ad meet them? We need to meet them in that stage. So when you're watching these ads, we're kind of reverse engineering the ad and looking at the hook and looking at the intro and the lead and identifying where are we meeting this person right now, right? So if we have a hook like, hey, do you struggle with gut health? Problem aware. We're calling out a problem. But if instead the hook is something along the lines of, did you know that, well, something everyone does, did you know that drinking water too fast causes gut health issues? Or here's 3 signs you could have XYZ gut issue, right? We're now educating them on a problem that they didn't know they have, right? So an issue is a lot of people will classify their ads as unaware, but they're really problem aware. Or they'll classify it as problem aware, but it's really unaware. Because once again, you can start an ad unaware and 5 seconds into the ad be into problem aware stage of awareness, which that's its own problem, but we'll get into that further into the video. But in terms of classifying it, it's where are we meeting the viewer? They start watching the ad. What stage of awareness are we meeting them in? That's the proper stage of awareness. Okay. And once again, when you manually go through your ads, you'll probably find a lot of these are not actually that accurate. And a common issue that you'll find, and I have points on this in the future of this video, is if an ad is unaware or an ad's problem or solution aware, that ad needs to live mostly in that stage of awareness. You can't just jump and fast track through the stages of awareness in the ad. Because yes, once again, an unaware ad will likely bring them all the way to solution aware, product aware. A solution aware ad will bring them from solution to product to most aware, right? But It's where does most of the ad live, okay? And so the issue is if you have an ad that really meets the problemware, but then most of the ad lives in solutionware, that's not congruent. That doesn't hit home and the hit rate will be lower, right? And this is a common thing when you go through these ads that you need to identify, because you're screwing yourself from the start. If the ad structure and the ad script doesn't fit like that, right? I'm going a bit of a tangent here. I'll continue through this process. But once again, if you meet them in problemware, you meet them in unaware, majority of that ad needs to live in that stage of awareness, and you should only transition to the next stage of awareness in the ad when in their head, they've come to that conclusion. That way, when you introduce your product, they're ready for it. They already know, they understand everything that builds up to it. And it's just like, that aha moment. Like, that just makes sense. If you're not there yet, you can't skip through the stages of awareness too quickly. With that said, I go through, I map out the stage of awareness. Once again, where do we meet them? That's the stage of awareness. So if we meet them unaware and right after the hook we're problemware, it's still an unaware ad, right? Because we're meeting them in the unaware stage of awareness. Okay. Then I identify the avatar and the angle and the format. Now, these, don't worry. You're not trying to have these pre-selected. Once again, you need to go into this manual review as if you've never made ads for your brand ever. You don't know the avatars, you don't know the angles. You're doing this from scratch. The whole point is to completely reset what we know about our ad account and ads, and from a high level, identify it properly again from the start as if we never did it. Because this gives you tons of clarity. Where once again, ignore all the research you did before, ignore your current avatars. You watch the ad and I say, hey, look, this is someone who's wanting to prevent gut health issues. That's the avatar I found in this ad, right? When maybe it was actually targeting somebody who has gut health issues right now, right? Two slightly different avatars, but the messaging is completely different. And so don't rely, once again, on the planning you had for the ad. Take that completely out of your mind, manually watch through the ads and identify it. When you go through it the first time, this is going to be messy. You can see they're common here, right? But what you want to do first is just brain dump what you think the avatar is, brain dump what you think the angle is, brain dump what you think the format is. Then once you've done that with all the ads, then you can come through and clean it up a little bit, right? So before, when I went through this, for example, this gut health one, this would have been like someone's worried about their gut. And this one may have been someone sees warning signs in their gut. And this one may be someone's researching about gut health, right? And then afterwards, when I saw the trends, I was like, okay, you know what? These three can be bucketed together in gut health, health conscious / preventative. They want to prevent the gut health issues. Once again, this is not real avatars. These are examples. So it could be better than that. But point is, just brain dump. Don't worry about it being the same wording, etc. Afterwards, you go through, and now you can clearly see out of every ad that's really made an impact in your ad account to actually bucket it properly into the existing avatars, right? And so once again, this is for brands that have been running ads. You completely scratch out the top avatars you have, knowledge you have. You rerun this from scratch, and then we rebucket it. Okay, that's for avatar. Angle, same exact thing. You brain dump it. Then if you find trends, you can call it the same thing. Main thing with the angle is you have to understand angle and concept are different. Like, people oftentimes come up with their concept name for the batch and they're like, hey, this is the angle. But it's wrong, right? The angle is the belief shift we're trying to make them believe. It's what do we need to make them believe by the end of this ad that will make them buy, right? That belief shift is the angle. The concept name is just how we're approaching that angle. Like, you know, hey, 7 reasons why, or vet, blah, 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 like whatever it may be, right? But the angle itself is the belief shift. We need them to believe in order to buy. That's how you bucket the angles, okay? So for this one, once again, anti-big supplement brand and why taking a cheap drugstore probiotic is a big problem. If by the end of the ad, when they watch this, if they understand that the big supplement brands and the cheap drugstores is causing more issues than it is good, they will buy, right? Or this one is that, hey, look, the Solutionware avatar ad, if they believe that this supplement solves all the problems that other probiotics have, they will buy, right? So what's that main angle? Then how we approach it is the concept. And the format is just the look and feel of the ad. Is it a doctor UGC? Is it UGC? Is it studio? Is it green screen? Is it AI voice over? Like the actual look and feel format, static, video, etc. You can get broader. You can get more specific. Point is you brain dump the format. Okay. So you go through and you manually do all this for your, once again, I did last 3 years. You can do last year depending on how many you have, but it should be a decent sample size. And once again, the goal here when you go through this is you will identify issues, because we are now re-looking at this from scratch as if you've never looked at your brand before. Once you have it filled out, you can compare it to what you actually had planned for these ads, and you will very quickly identify things that were not accurate or mismatched or opportunities you can find. Okay. So this is the process of one, just building out the database of your top ads to identify, hey, look, out of all the ads that really made an impact on our ad account, what are those avatars? What are those angles? What are those formats? And then we bucket it. Okay. So you do it first. We consolidate it in terms of like coming up with the names to make it a little more easy to understand. And then you consolidate it, right? And this is the mapping that you can have. So through this sheet, right, you then just combine it and you consolidate the data, right? So you can take all the avatars of this one, preventative or whatever, with all the angles and all the formats, and you come with your ad account mapping, right? This is the current data with spend and purchases that you have in terms of your ad account with all the ads that actually made a big impact. Yes, it'll look different than this. If we consider all the hundreds or small little ads that didn't pick up that much spend, who cares? They didn't make a big impact. These are the big impact ads. So in this case, we ended up with, hey, look, out of all of the top ads over the last 3 years, there was 5 avatars. Gut health, health conscious, preventative, gut health, worried about gut health when they're seeing symptoms, slightly different, but very different. Someone who knows probiotics already and is looking for the best, such as had bad experience with other ones. Someone who's taken a probiotic but had a bad experience, is looking for a better version. And then avatar agnostic, which is just kind of retargeting ads, work with anything, right? Now these, once again, are just terrible examples. It would be very different for an actual gut health supplement or a probiotic, etc. The main thing here is, once again, you have the avatars mapped out. You have the stage of awareness for each avatar mapped out. And that's important because you need to understand the spend across your ad account in terms of what level of stage of awareness most spend has gone to or has made the biggest impact to know where the opportunity is. And 2, once again, can only be one stage of awareness per avatar. If there's multiple stages of awareness per avatar, your avatar is too broad. Right now, some people call that sub avatars or whatever, but point is there's only one stage of awareness per avatar. Because if it's not that specific, you're just talking to anybody. The messaging needs to be congruent. If you have somebody who wants to prevent gut health issues, and that's what they're worried about, right? They're unaware. They don't know they have a problem. They're just worried about it. Versus problem aware is they already see problems, right? So don't make the mistake of having these 2 avatars for your product or brand being, gut health. A woman in her 50s who has gut health issues. And then we make unaware ads and problem aware ads to her. It's not the case, right? Because this person is unaware. We need to meet them somewhere else with their ads, angles, and formats. And this person who's experiencing problems, the messaging will also be different. Okay. So there's one stage of awareness per avatar. Then you map out, cool, based off, once again, the data you had here. What winning angles do we have for each stage of awareness? And once again, winning angles proven by the top ads that have spent X plus amount. In this case, example, 100,000 plus. So then I say, hey, look, for this avatar with this stage of awareness, we have these 3 winning angles. Then under each angle, once again, what are the winning formats that you have? Because you may find that under, once again, all these ones here are the same angle, that we have a couple different working formats. And so once again, we map it very clearly and we consolidate it into this. So we could see for this avatar, we have 3 working angles. And we have, for this angle, we have 1 working format. For this angle, 1 working format. And then for this angle, 2 working formats with the spend and purchase data. Same thing with this one, same thing with this, same thing with this, same thing with this, right? And what this gives you is an overall mapping of, once again, per each avatar, how many proven angles do we have? And then within each angle, how many proven formats do we have with the spend and purchase data? Okay. You can take it a step further and consolidate it by avatar and stage of awareness. And this just, once again, from a high level, excluding the formats, shows you the level of spend per stage of awareness and avatar to spot more opportunities. What's most important here is this one. Okay. Cause now when you see this mapping, I'm going to ask you, what opportunity do you find? Right? Like, where would you start testing this? I'll get into the summary back on the Miro board of exact step-by-step of what I would do in this case. But you need to understand that the goal, once again, which is why I went over that before sharing my screen, is to have a couple working avatars, 2 to 4, with about 2 to 4, obviously more the better, but 2 to 4 angles within each avatar. And then have like 3 to 6 winning formats within each angle. Right? When you understand that and the goal here, compared to what you have mapped out for your ad account, you can clearly see where there's opportunities and issues. Well, one, we already have kind of 3 or 4 working avatars. Do we really need another one right now? Not really, right? Like, we have 3 or 4 that's been proven. Looking at our top last 3 years ads, I've spent X amount. Like, we have these avatars. However, under this avatar, we have 3 angles. That's great. We could probably find another, but we already have 3. This one, we only have 1. This one, we have 3. This one, we only have 1. So clear opportunity there. Hey, let's take this avatar with this stage of awareness and find new winning angles. Or let's take this avatar with this stage of awareness and find new winning angles. Then you could take that a step further and say, hey, look, we want 3 to 6 working different formats within each angle. Well, for this one, we only have one. What if instead of Dr. UGC, do we do real human UGC or AI UGC, or we do green screen, or we do a 10-minute VSL versus a 2-minute VSL versus static, right? Like, it clearly maps out where the opportunity is. And once again, I'll walk you through the direction you should go through. But when you map it out like this, you realize, hey, look, we've been continuously making ads for this avatar, for this stage of awareness under this angle, and trying to find new concepts there. But we don't really need new concepts under this angle. We just need new formats, right? Or maybe the bigger opportunity is considering this actually eats up a lot of spend and does well because it's unaware. It should technically have the most spend, and the problemware a bit less, solutionware a bit less, etc. And you can see, for example, like solutionware, like this avatar that's solutionware, we get a lot of spend here, like 687,000 in this case. We probably already crushed at solution. We don't need to do more testing here because the clear opportunity here, as well as this avatar, has one angle, one format with only 99,000 spent. So clear win is take this avatar with this stage of awareness, this angle, and just reformat. Then when you reformat to find the second angle, then back to format, then back to angle, then back to format, then back to avatar, right? Like, it clearly maps out what you need to do. And this is just an example, but it gives you clarity on all the ads that actually made a huge impact, what's actually working, what your ad account from a high level actually looks like. So now you as a creative strategist or lead strategist or whatever, CMO of your company or person giving direction to your team and agencies can now clearly give them the direction that they need. Instead of saying, hey, just make winning ads, like, please, more winning ads. Like, obviously that'd be great if it works like that, but realistically it doesn't. Now you can say, hey, look, here's what the ad account looks like at a high level. Clearly there's some clear opportunities. One, we should find more working angles under this specific avatar, which is very easy now for you to review the ads and make sure it's high intent and high level, because you know all ads for that avatar should be problemware, should be this angle. If that's what you're testing, once again, if you're testing new formats for this angle, then you just assign out to your strategist, hey, look, we need more ads this week that are that specific avatar with this specific stage of awareness, with this specific angle, but we need new winning formats. Or you give out the avatar and the stage of awareness, then it's up to them to find the new angle, right? Now I'll tie this all back together on the Miro, but the point is you as the CMO or person giving direction of the creative team, if that is you, or if it's not you and you have a lead strategist, etc., this is what they need to be doing. It's their job to oversee everything, set the direction from a high level. This is exactly what the ad account needs to scale. And you only know that if you can map it out like this and really understand where the gaps are. If you don't map it out and you have no clue, I mean, unless you have some crazy method that I don't know about, please let me know. You're blind. Like, you're just guessing. You're just making winning ads. Hey, we should do more problemware. We should do more solutionware. Like, great. But do you really know? And this sets the high intent. That way your lead strategist or yourself, when assigning out these briefs, know exactly what needs to happen and what you need to assign out to really scale the account. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Then on this tab, you just go through, note down opportunities, trends you find, etc. That's how you see the mapping and spot opportunities. On this one, once again, just a higher level per avatar, we could clearly see, hey, look, unaware makes up most of the spend, which is great. Productware, we crush. Solutionware is up there. Maybe it should be a bit more than productware. Mostware, we probably have room for improvement. And problemware, like, what the hell's going on there? Right? Like, heavy underutilized, crazy low spend. Then, once again, this one's here. We probably have a bit of overlap at this stage of awareness, blah, 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 but we probably don't need to do too much there, etc. You spot the opportunities from a high level. You map it out. You mapped out your ad account. You keep this updated every time you find these new working ads. And now, once again, you clearly see what really moves the needle in your ad account and clear direction of what you need to do to get creative diversity and scale further. Once again, in easier words, I'll go back to this sheet here and walk you through it, which is next steps and final reminders. First, AI helps doing this, but manual is still king. Use this opportunity and go through this process to spot gaps, improve your skill set, because through this process, you will find many, many issues and areas to improve if done with focus. I'll walk you through a couple that I found that are common between myself and different clients. 2, test back to front. You test with formats first, then angles, then avatar. I'll go back to that sheet and give you an example, but the reason why is because it's easier to find new winning formats than it is winning angles. and easier to find new winning angles than it is to find new winning avatar. Each step you take to the left becomes harder and harder to find the winner. Why? Because we're going broader, requires more research, more testing, more intent. Just like finding a new winning product is harder than finding a new winning format. The further back you go to the left, the harder it is, right? Versus if you already have a proven avatar with a proven angle, you could use those two variables that you know work and create a new format, right? You have two working variables, you're playing with one. Versus now if we're trying to find a new angle, right? To some degree, we have the avatar that works, but now we need to find a completely new angle that works at scale, which is harder than a new format, right? So the point is you test back to front. When you test all the new formats and angles, and then it becomes harder and the 80-20 switches, now we move to angles. When the 80-20 switches there, then to avatars, etc. Because that is the fastest path to creative diversity, which will scale the account. You then use this method / direction to set your weekly and monthly sprints for your creative team. You set the direction, they execute. Issue is, most time the direction is winning ads, please, right? Like that doesn't work as well. So once again, if this was my ad account, this was my brand. First, biggest opportunity is obviously here. There's just no spend on problemware. So my focus and time and energy would go here first, and then probably unaware, because in this specific scenario, solutionware, a lot of spend, as you can see here. Solutionware, a lot of spend, as you can see here, right? Crushing, product aware, no real issues. Most aware could be a bit better, but once again, it's retargeting. Not much we need to do there. And once again, under this is just an example, but you could have multiple unaware avatars here or multiple solutionware avatars, and you would just consolidate that even further. You can get rid of that and just group it by stage of awareness per avatar to understand this picture, right? But we can see here, unaware does pretty well, although it probably should make up even more majority of the spend because it's pretty close to product aware and solutionware. But problemware has a lot of opportunity, right? So you would start problemware. And what would we do? Well, look, we already have a working avatar. We have a proven angle for that avatar and one working format. You start right to left. The first thing I would do would be making more ads underneath this avatar, underneath this angle, and trying to find, instead of one winning format, try to find 3 to 6 winning formats under the same angle. If you could find 2 and then it really becomes hard and you can't find any other, okay, great, move on. If you could find 3, 4, 5, 6, that's amazing. But you continuously test there. And when you really can't find that working format anymore, and you're like, hey, it's just not working, that's your sign. You now need to take a step to the left. So I would start with the reformatting. Let's say we find 2 more that works. We find UGC, we find VSL, and we find, static. That works, right? Then we now go back to the angle. Now the next step is with the same avatar, with that same stage of awareness, let's now find the second working angle. When you find the second working angle, you go back to reformatting until you have 2, 3, 4, 5 winning formats. And when that doesn't work anymore, you go back and find the next winning angle under this stage of awareness, right? That's what that process looks like. If you go through that process over time, you will achieve creative diversity. Your hit rate will increase because the intent and direction is clear, because it's clearly mapping out what your ad account is missing. So by default, you're building up creative diversity, which with Andromeda and all that kind of fun stuff, now with how Facebook works, is what gets you to scale, lowers your CPA, allows you to hit new POC audiences to really make a difference. And then when you build that one out, right, maybe you move on to unaware. What are some easy wins here? Well, I'd be taking this avatar with this exact angle, and I'd be finding new formats. Then I'd go this angle, new formats. Then this angle, new formats. Then when each of these have 3 to 4 winning formats under each of these angles, then I would find the 4th winning angle, right? And the beautiful part with this is that you don't need that much to scale, right? By the time you get 2 or 3 avatars and you have 3 to 4 winning angles within each avatar, with 2 to 3 formats within each of those angles, you will be at massive, massive scale. Once again, if you look at Pet Lab Co. and some of these brands, and if we even narrow down to like one product from Pet Lab Co., let's talk like their dental powder, the powder you put on the food that helps with their teeth, right? There's only so many avatars and angles that exist for that. And if you look in their ad account, they really only have one avatar, which is dog owners or dogs that struggle with dental issues. Within that, they have 3 or 4 main angles and multiple different formats, right? And that one product probably does 9 figures plus a year. One avatar, couple different angles, couple different formats. So if you build it out, depending on your product category, etc., once again, it will scale. And so depending on the product category, the niche, each of these angles may take you way further than another. Point is, that's how you spot the opportunity. In most cases, if all of these spends are even between these avatars or stages of awareness, you want more folks on the top of funnel to obviously bring new customers in. Okay. But that's what I mean when I'm saying test back to front. When you map it out, you clearly see new formats you can go ahead and crack, then angles, right? And then avatars after that. You work right to left because your hit rate will always be higher if we're making new ads under proven avatar and angle. Then we will be just proven avatar, new angle. Then we will be a completely new avatar, right? So you start right to left, and that improves your hit rate, gives creative diversity. When you're not finding any more wins here, you move to the left. And back here, wins here. Then we don't find any more winning angles here. Boom, next avatar. And so if I was starting a new brand from scratch, I would be starting with, hey, here's what I think my top 3 avatars are. I start with 1, try to find the working angle. You finally find the one winning ad for that avatar and that angle. Start with formats, then the next angle, then format, then next angle, then format, then next angle. And then only after that, avatar 2. And I can tell you from my personal experience, we have 3 avatars, like really like 3. We have a couple in there that are like a bit more specific that don't get much spend. But realistically, the broad avatars that actually scale for us, we have 3 to do over 35 million a year, right? This year we're on track to do over 35 to 40. Last year we did 22, right? 3, like you don't need that many avatars. You just go deeper and deeper and deeper, and you rinse and repeat with the formats, the concepts, the angles. Then when it doesn't work, you take a step to the left. That's test back to front. Then most common trends and mistakes. So looking at the ads that scale internally for myself and ads across our clients that have taken them from low to mid 6 figures to multi 7-figure months. These are the most common high level trends between the top ads and losing ads. Once again, very high level. Don't want to go too deep into the weeds. There's a lot more than this, but these are the 4 most, I would say, not talked about ones that I've seen occur all the time, which is this is what the best ads do, and your losing ads probably don't do these. And these are things I found internally with our clients and also my brand doing the ad mapping and manual breakdowns. First is the script structure follows the stage of awareness. And I kind of talked about that earlier, but if you have a problem aware ad, majority of that ad needs to sit in the problem awareness stage, right? We can't start at problem and jump to solution right away. You can't just force people through stages of awareness. You need to meticulously, through your copy and ads, bring them from one stage to the next. And then only when they're ready, from the next stage to the next. Okay? So majority of your script or script structure needs to sit in that stage of awareness. And that goes with every single stage of awareness. 2, the planning of the ad actually matches the final brief. So once again, lots of times you're planning out your briefs, or your strategists are planning out your briefs. They plan out the avatar, the messaging, the angle, the stage of awareness. And then if you really look close and you do this breakdown and you review their scripts, you need to make sure it actually matches and lines up. Does the copy actually back up and specific to that avatar, right? Does that actually follow and live in that proper stage of awareness, etc. And the best ads at scale do. That's high intent when making the ad. 3, the avatar is super clear throughout the entire ad. There's one main message. Once again, your avatars may be too broad. Lots of the time people have this issue to where the message doesn't hit home with anybody because the avatar is too broad. They're like, oh, I have an avatar. And it's like, Jessica, who's 40 years old, who has gut issues. But like, what kind of gut health issues? Does she currently have it, or is she worried about it? Has she been struggling with a long time or a little time? These are different people, right? Now you don't have to go too crazy. Keep them as broad as you can and bucket as broadly as you can. And understand there's sub-avatars within these avatars. But point is, they need to be specific enough to where the message hits home for them. Because if it's not specific enough, and we just talk about gut health broadly, it's not going to convert. It's not going to hit home. Versus if we're talking about you've been struggling with gut health issues for the last 3 years, and then you're using the words, the phrases they're searching for, the phrases they're using across forums throughout the ad, and you stay consistent with that throughout the entire ad. It doesn't jump between different avatars. That ad hits home. It converts a lot further. So you don't scale by making these crazy broad ads that hit everybody. You make ads that are specific to certain avatars and have more of them. That's what scales you broad. And lastly, the B-roll always matches what the script is saying very clearly to extreme detail, right? It always matches clearly to extreme detail. It's not like, hey, we're saying, I don't know, taking the pill. And then you show somebody taking the pill. Like, yes, that's great and all, but I mean, to the next level, every single line that you're talking about matches with the B-roll. So if you're talking about, and in the script, you're talking about someone taking the pill, and then they drink water after that, or it should show an animation going through the intestines after, whatever it may be. Point is, that one script line needs to show both the person taking the pill and the animation Don't just show taking the pill or just show taking the animation. You should be able to understand what the ad is talking about and going through if there was no captions and no audio. If your B-roll passes that stage, it's clear enough, right? So everything you're saying to extreme detail, the visuals should match. As soon as the words and script is saying something else, the visuals need to back that up. And that's consistent with the best ads, and the losing ads do not do that. Okay? Just these 4. And once again, you'll find others when you go through this manual process. Take it, turn it into an SOP. And there you go. That's exactly what I was going to say. There will be many other issues and common trends you find throughout your own top ads that's specific to your ad account. That's your, call it secret sauce in your ad account. That's what you're trying to find there. When you find it, note it down, turn it into an SOP, have your strategists, your editors, whoever you need, follow that with a simple checklist. That way that is always happening between every single one of your ads. Okay? So that's that. If you want to check out what we do a bit further, there's a link in the description of kind of more things like this and what we actually do to scale our brands internally and clients' brands as well. Yeah, that's that. I hope it helped. This has helped us a ton. Once again, go through it. It shouldn't take too long. But if you do, I promise you, it will improve your hit rate. So that's ad account mapping. Use it, utilize it, and I'll see you in the next one.